So great, great,
Yeah.
great to have you. Finally, we're here. So obviously, because the network was playing up, so I asked a few people to ask me questions. So I'm just going to quickly jump onto
Yeah.
the first question, then I'm going to bring you in. So it says, how hard
Okay.
or easy is it to find landlords to do rent to rent? The truth is, it's not very easy. All right, it's not very easy because I'm not here to sell you it's all easy. The thing is, nothing in life is easy. You've got to grind, you've got to put in the hard work, you've got to be prepared to make those telephone calls, you've got to be prepared to send out those landlord letters, you've got to be prepared to get uncomfortable in order for you to get comfortable. The truth is, are there properties that will allow you to do rent to rent? 100% yes. There is so much deals available on the market. Even right now, in the last couple of days, I have been working on about over 4 deals, all right, that are on the pipeline right now that I'm using specific, a concept to try and acquire these new rent-to-rent deals. So are landlords, is there estate agents, is there landlords, is there property that will allow you to do rent-to-rent to HMOs? The answer is yes, but you just have to understand it's not as easy as you think. You've got to be able to make those calls. I remember when I first started, I made a lot of calls on a daily basis. Before I had a brand, before people now know me, I had to make calls. I had to talk on a daily basis to a lot of letting agents. An average I was doing was about 100 calls a day. So you've got to be prepared to do and make those calls. If you think you're going to make just 5, 10, 20, 15 calls and get deals, I'm 100% going to tell you it's going to be difficult. So you got to grind. Okay? So I think that's the only question that I have. So there we go, Chris. How are you today, my man?
I'm good, man. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Your picture is stable, better network now. Obviously, we had a lot of issues trying to get connected with yourself. So yeah, so it's good to really have you here, my friend. There's going to be a lot of questions, I can tell, because there's a lot of communication and there's a lot of people putting some things on the chat box already. So Chris, tell us about yourself. For those people who don't know you, tell us about yourself. Who is Chris?
So my name is Chris, currently 25. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 19 years old. I've always had that entrepreneur spirit. Like, I've always wanted to achieve a better lifestyle of living for myself and for my family. So I've always just been pursuing that kind of goal. My experiences, I had a previous property estate agent called Multi-Lets. I've been doing that for about 2 years, between 2016 to 2018. So that was my property experience. I then had 4 years in network marketing. That gave me a lot of business credibility, business experience as well. You know, being comfortable talking to people, you know, building business in other countries. And then after that, decided to go back into property industry again, but going through the rent to rent method, should I say. And then that's when I started my current business now, Smart Choice. Also, alongside this, I've got a taxi company called Rich Airport Runs. I've been running that now for 2 years. And last year, we got nominated for Young Entrepreneur of the Year. So it's been a good progress over the past, 5, 6 years of being in entrepreneurship so far. But again, it's just all about keep growing and, you know, keep aiming for better heights, really and truly.
Wow. What a fun introduction. So your business journey literally started at the age of 19. That's great. No family background in business, or it was just you just getting into business at the age of 19?
No, it was always just me, because before business, so before the age of 19, like, my sole goal was to be a footballer. So all my energy, all my drive was into that. But I think those years has built my entrepreneurship strength, because those years I was so used to grinding hard and focusing on one goal. But then when I kind of realized maybe being a footballer wasn't going to be feasible for me, I knew I didn't want to, you know, settle for a 9-to-5 for the rest of my life. I knew I wanted to still replicate the same lifestyle, but just using a different strategy. So because of that, that's how I got into business. And then I just learned along the way. So I've just always been entrepreneurial, always been goal focused.
I mean, I must say I'm really pleased with that. Obviously, I grew up in Nigeria. I came to this country over just 15 years ago. At the age of 15, one of the things you do here in the streets of London is crime, gun crime, and all these stabbings and killings and all of that. At the age of 19, you being able to control yourself, especially from South London, and being able to get into the entrepreneurial space. I'm sure your mom or your dad, your parents must be really proud of you.
Say the last part. It's like to cut out. I heard you say my mum.
Oh, yeah, so
cut out a bit.
I'm talking about being at the age, getting into entrepreneurship at the age of 19 and business. I said, especially in London, where all you hear on the news is, young people getting into knife crime, stabbings, and all these type of different types of situation. And you were able to skip that and literally, go into entrepreneur. So your parents and your mom and your dad must be very proud of you.
I hope so. That's what I'd like to think. But yeah, all those external factors that you mentioned, for me, that's just been a drive for me to like create a better foundation for when I one day be able to build my own family. So that's always been a main drive of mine. So I hear the information, what goes on outside externally, but then I try to channel that into, okay, cool, this is more motivation why you need to get everything up and running, provide more opportunity for other people, get provide a good foundation to build a life on, and put your kids in a better environment and stuff like that. So that's always just been a motivational purpose for me, a drive.
Great. I mean, growing up in South London, for example, at the age of around the age of 19, and how did you then manage to deal with things like peer pressure? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you say age of 19, then it started to cut out again.
Okay, I think obviously it's your network, because mine is a bit stable. So I'm saying, growing around South London, how did you then manage to deal with things like peer pressure?
Peer pressure is hard. I mean, a lot of people my age or those ages, obviously, like, you want to fit in. That's like the main thing. Like, you want to fit in, you want to be part of the crowd. But for me, it was a case of like, because I always wanted to be a footballer, my mindset was always I'm different from young. It was always I'm different. So all it is taking that mindset, that principle into business, and always knowing, okay, I can't fit in because I know I'm different. I know I'm trying to achieve something different. So for me, obviously, time to time, you do get sucked into a bit of peer pressure. Of course you do. We're all humans. But I had the mental strength to know when not to get sucked into peer pressure and when I know something's just not my path. If that makes sense. Yeah. So that kind of just stemmed from my football days, if I'd say.
Great. So you must have really got a very good home bringing then.
Yeah, my mum's been brilliant. She's been absolutely amazing. I can't fault her, not one bit, to be honest with you. So
great. So what are the kind of challenges you faced growing up? All right, and now being where you are, you've run multiple businesses. You've run multiple businesses, and on the back of running multiple businesses, you dug a bit deeper, being a letting agent, being in the transportation industry. So how have you been able to bring all this together?
So I think the biggest challenge is, number one, is obviously not having someone around me that's done it before. So not being able to, if I run into a problem, to be able to go to someone and say, oh, hey, I ran into this problem, what should I do? It's more of a case I had to just figure it out on my own. And the downside about doing that is then you start to make a lot of mistakes because you don't know, you have to just trial and error. So you don't actually know what's the right way to approach things. So over the years of constantly having new businesses, I mean, I'll be open. I mean, one of the reasons I had so many businesses because it failed. And the reason why some of the businesses I've done before failed is because I had no guidance. I had to learn on my own. Some of the mistakes I made cost the business. Some of the mistakes I made taught me, okay, what not to do. And because I've just been through so many different experiences, I now know how to overcome quite a bit of them.
Fantastic. So what was your experience into the letting agency industry? How did you manage to get into the letting agent industry?
So I remembered it was 2016. It was actually 2017 December. And I remembered I was like, I needed to have a full-time income. At that point, I never had a full-time job before, but I was always struggling for money. And I was like, obviously I think I was 19, 20, and I was thinking, I don't want to keep being, what's the word? Feeling unsecure about money, like not knowing when the next paycheck's going to come in, because obviously it's all from sales. So I was like, I just want a bit of security to be able to run my business efficiently. That's what I thought was the answer.
Yeah.
So then I started thinking, okay, cool. What would I actually like to do or learn? And I was jotting down things I was interested in. And the thing, it was football, properties, and aeroplanes.
Yep.
So I was like, right, okay, I don't want to be a football coach. It's either I'm a football player or nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went down to properties. I was like, all right, like, I'm interested in properties. I've never done it before.
Yep.
Let me try. And there was quite a few agencies that were doing trainee negotiators. Mm-hmm. So you can go into property with no experience whatsoever. So I actually applied for that role and I passed the interview, and then that was my first role. So I was a trainee letting negotiator, and that's when my first property experience started.
So would you say that was your inspiration into becoming a property entrepreneur?
No. So actually that experience for me was actually, I'll be open, terrible. I hated it. I really hated it. But what I understood was I wanted to be in properties, but I realized maybe I didn't want to be a negotiator. So then that led me to apply for another role, which was a property administrator. Because one skill that I know I have is that I'm very diligent. I'm very diligent when it comes to analyzing things and being organized and being structured. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I could use that skill and still stay in property. So I went for the role of a property administrator, which was my second role. That role made me want to be a property entrepreneur because I loved the job. My manager was great. I still have great contact with him now. And seeing the way he moved, seeing him meet investors, taking investors out to coffees and talking to some of his investors and seeing the sort of products they're working on, I was like, I want to be an investor. Like, you've opened my eyes now. Like, I want to be a property investor now. So it was my property administration job role that kind of opened me up to, I actually want to be in properties now.
Great, great. So, I mean, obviously, you went through this journey of being a letting agent trainee, and so on. When you started thinking about becoming a property entrepreneur and an investor, did you think about the money involved in it? Did you think about how am I gonna really find this money to invest in property? Did you have any type of thing in your head?
Yeah, of course. So when I then left to start my own property estate agent, obviously one of the main goals was to earn enough cash flow that I was able to then invest in my own properties personally. But then, of course, obviously, unfortunately for me, that didn't work out the way I planned. So then from that point onwards, every sort of venture that I went into, the plan was to create enough capital to be able to actually become a property investor. But obviously at the time, I wasn't aware of the rent-to-rent strategy. So I didn't realize you didn't need as much money as I initially thought you needed to actually get involved in earning a passive income or creating a cash flow income from the property industry.
Great answer. Because one of the things is a lot of people, when they think about property, for me, this was exactly what happened to me. When I wanted to get into property for years and years, imagine I first bought my family home in 2006, not knowing what I know today. Imagine if I know what I know today, all right, 2006. Oh my goodness, the amount of what I could have been able to do. The truth is, I mean, I say a lot now that, oh, there wasn't a lot of property meetup, there wasn't Instagram, there wasn't Facebook talking about, property. You don't go into, there wasn't platform that you can go to and you see property, influencer like myself, or people who kind of, try to influence, like, I'm doing this, anyone can do it. This was 2006. So just imagine now, you going through your journey and now not knowing that, you know what, actually you don't need money to get started in property. There could be, you know, strategies that you could do. Things like sourcing, for example. People can actually get into sourcing with even no money. All you just need to do is to get your business compliant, and that's about it. But the truth is, with sourcing, the truth about sourcing is sometimes you can get, you know, you can get knocked about so many times. If you're not strong enough, you're gonna get knocked out. But with rent to rent, you know, it's an instant strategy. If you do it and you grind and you put all the hard work in, within 3 to 6 months, you should be able to have your first deal that positions you as a landlord. So now, finding out about rent to rent, how did that change your mindset about property? Finding out about where strategies that you can actually get involved with without having to have lots of money in your bank account. So how did that change your perspective about property investing, and how did that motivate you to get started in it?
Well, that accelerated our learning process, because once we realized there was ways we can get involved, we literally went hard with the learning. I remember it was last year, July. So July 2019 is when we first kind of heard about rent to rent.
That was when you first reached out to me, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Great.
And then, yeah, so when I learned about rent to rent, then obviously I have you on Instagram, and then I realized your post was about rent to rent. But before that, I didn't really understand it. I just knew it was in properties. So when I realized that, that's when I reached out to you. I said, like, you do rent to rent. Like, and now it started to make sense. And from then, we decided to literally do like hardcore learning. I'm talking about, if it was every day, if it weren't every day, at least every other day, learning, watching videos, taking notes. So I've got books upon books of a year's worth of knowledge about all rent-to-rent strategies, from essays to HMOs to lease, like every rent-to-rent strategy possible. We've got books and notes of it from a whole year's worth. So it just accelerated the learning, because we knew we need to learn it and get involved now, because we're not missing out again, sort of thing.
Great. Absolutely. With the rent-to-rent strategy, is such an amazing strategy. So at that point where you started researching, you started finding out information, you started digging a bit deeper. So at what point did you actually make up your mind and you said, you know what, I'm going to go and get started in the rent-to-rent strategy?
So I'd say it probably was about September. It was about September time. And me, my business partner, then initially there was another 2 of us. So initially there was 4 of us to begin with. In September, we all kind of came together and was like, right, are we going to take this rent to rent seriously? Like, we actually going to go ahead and actually try to start something in it? So we agreed that we was. So we started a group chat. And in the group chat rules was, every day, everyone has to send one thing about rent to rent, whether it's an article, whether it's a video, whether it's a training for us to sign up to. From that point onwards, and we had a goal set that, okay, by a certain date, we need to have company ready, this ready, all these little steps ready to actually be able to start 2020 and then go full head and actually start doing it from the start of 2020. So that was in September we made that decision.
Great, good. September. Wow, you've come far, because you've taken a lot of action. I've literally seen you grow in property, to be honest. I've literally seen your mindset change, your perspective, your understanding, and obviously your grinding not stop. Even through this lockdown, you've been grinding day in and day out. So that's such a good way to obviously get started. Obviously, I can tell that you've been super motivated. Obviously, you started business at the age of 19. Wow, that's such a good time to start. For me, I literally started business in my head, and at the age of 15, because I grew up from a family in Nigeria, in Africa, where my brothers, my relatives, everybody is a business owner. Because in Africa, obviously, you create your kind of economy. The first thing that anyone does to kind of have a comfortable life is to do business. So that's where my background comes from. So I mean, for London, for England, normally people really kind of wait sometimes to just go through that school process to again get carried away. So I'm not ready yet, and you were able to just start, and now you're in a place where your fingers crossed, you're close to actually taking on deals. It's insane. It's insane what you've been able to achieve for yourself, and obviously I'm so inspired by what you do. This is why I've literally brought you here to just have a live chat with yourself. So what do you wish you know now? All right, you wish you knew many years ago before you actually started what you're doing now, especially in property.
Can you repeat that again? It just went a bit blurry. That question just went a bit blurry.
So what do you wish you know right now? You wish you knew, all right? In September, when you first said, you know what, you guys are going to go out and set up your company and get started in rent to rent.
What do I wish I knew back in September?
No, what do you wish you knew now and you wish you knew in September?
Okay. I wish, number one, I knew exactly how to deal source in terms of like what documentation stuff you need. I wish we had a plan. So for example, like, you know, a financial plan to get onto the rent to rent market, i.e., you know, our plan was deal source, you know, couple deals, which creates a certain amount of capital. And then with that capital, we know what sort of criteria rent to rents we can actually invest that money into. I wish we knew that back in September. I also wish I understood the legal side.
Yeah.
I wish I understood the legal side of the rent to rent, because that's what throws a lot of people off, is because they hear about rent to rent and they might understand the method, but then until you get more advanced into it or dig a lot deeper into it,
Yeah.
you understand there's a lot of legalities behind every move you're about to make.
Yeah.
So you need to have a full understanding of the basic legal requirements for each step.
Yeah.
And that will make your life a lot easier and it will seem less confusing. Because if you don't understand the legals, you just think, oh, you know, forget it, I just don't understand it anymore. Like, you think you could do one thing, then the law says you can't, and then you just lose motivation.
Yeah.
But if you understand it
in the beginning,
you might find little gems, little pockets where you're like, okay, hold on, I can do this, or I can stay even and do that. Like, do it make sense? So if I knew the legal stuff back in September, I mean, would have been, you know, 5 months ahead of the game. But
great. So
I'm
not just going to bring a few people who have already commented so that it's not like we're just talking to ourselves and having so much fun. Yeah. So I'm having a lot of fun anyway. So I'm going to take the first question from Lawrence. So Lawrence said, is it still possible to do it during this period? Do you want to shine a light at all, Chris, or do you want me to take that question?
We can both share it. So
okay,
I'll share what we've been up to. Yeah. So during quarantine, what we've managed to do during quarantine is we managed to set up the whole business, set up the legalities of the business during quarantine, get everything set up from the website or portal. We managed to build our investors list. We managed to build connections, joint ventures as well during this period as well to help us be able to take on more deals. And also been speaking with landlords. But the main thing that we've started to do as well is we've then 1 week, we had a week of just calling agents that we had no interest in getting properties in that area to practice speaking and what to say and what's the wrong thing to say and what's the right thing to say or what works for us, and getting comfortable being on the phone and getting a realistic expectation of what to expect. After we've done that, then it was okay, straight go time. We analyzed the areas that we wanted to go into, and then we started making phone calls. Obviously, we realized a lot of agents are closed, so we realized that during this time we have to go direct to landlord. So we've been finding creative ways to go directly to landlord. Today we just spent literally a whole 6-7 hours. I'm not going to say the area, but we spent literally 6-7 hours today alone doing canvassing, because we got a lot of HMO registered property list this morning. We printed off a lot of our direct to vendor letters this morning, and we went out in the car, went to the area, and we've just been posting letters all day, 8 hours, posting letters to all these properties. So there's always things you can do to keep trying. We had a viewing yesterday. We've got 2 viewings next week already set up. So it's still possible to do it. You just got to be creative. You have to be creative, because if you're not going to be creative, then you're just going to be behind the herd when everyone comes out of lockdown, and we're trying to be ahead of the curve.
Great answer. Great answer, Chris. I really love how, you know, the energy behind that. I think one of the things is a lot of people think right now is a time to chill. For me, I've never really chilled since this lockdown. One of the things that has not allowed me to chill is because I am in some sort of financial position whereby I'm not stressed about financially, because one of the biggest things is a lot of people right now, newbies, people trying to get started in property, or even some people who are already doing property, are very financially stressed at the minute in terms of how would the tenant pay? You know, how am I going to manage my debt? How am I going to manage it? for example, during the very first few days of this lockdown, I think the very first 10 days, I released a video what anyone can actually do to kind of reduce anxiety. How can you manage your debt? How can you manage your pain, your monthly pain? So for me, once I've done that, I really got into my business and I just began to build and build and build. I've literally redesigned my whole courses, done so much. So as I said at the beginning of this interview, I said that I'm currently negotiating over 4 deals as we speak. And one of the things I've said to them is to go using things like deferred rent, whereby I will take on the property, we'll sign the contract, but I don't have to pay rent for a minimum of 3 to 6 months. Minimum of 3 to 6 months. So the landlord gives me the property, signs me the contract, but I ain't going to pay rent for at least 3 to 6 months. So those are things that I'm currently using. So again, you can't just go to a landlord or a letting agent and say, oh, I'll take on the price, sign on the contract, and take on the deal. Obviously, there are ways you need to word it. There's a way you need to present it. You have to present it from the point where you know the know it factor. Again, for those of you watching right now, I'm going to be doing a free webinar on the 21st, Thursday, the 21st of May. It's a free webinar, completely free, where I'm going to be giving some free tips and free information how I've currently taken on deals during this period. Again, I'm going to show you real life case scenarios, conversation between me and some few letting agents, and so make sure you jump on that course. So I'm going to take the next question from Derry. Okay, Derry's just saying, he's grateful for coming through you, Chris. He said he's come through you to know me, and he's looking forward to working with us. So that's great. Great to know, my friend. I'm going to go into the next question here. Next question is, okay, it says here, you can hear you, Chris. Any other question? I'm just going to quickly go through quickly. If there's no question, then we're going to go into more deep dive. Okay, thinking outside the box. So Tosh Sharp Mark says, think outside the box. Absolutely. This is such a great period to think outside of the box. You've got to get creative, because the fact is, only the creative people right now are going to make money in real estate. Even not just real estate, in any type of business. Imagine Zoom. When Zoom started many years ago, how many people use Zoom? But since this lockdown, Zoom went from this to that, just like that. Teams and so many other websites. So guys, it's just about being creative. You got to be able to think outside of the box. So Chris, now you set up your company, you started to network. Obviously you came to the rent-to-rent property network a lot of times, and you decided to then take your journey a bit forward, and you plugged into my rent-to-rent 2 days training. So how did you find the rent-to-rent bootcamp, the 2 days training? How did you find that, and how was that? How useful was that?
That gave us the final piece of clarity to give us the confidence today to start now. So obviously a lot of learning that we done were like surface level learning, but there was obviously a few gaps of information that were critical that we knew we didn't know. And then finding them gems out from you, like certain methods that you use, which we didn't even think of. Obviously, the legal side of it was the major one, and how in day 2 I was confused about the legal side, but now doing it, everything you said about the legals, now it just makes total sense. But it's like if we didn't do the boot camp, we wouldn't have the external knowledge to be able to implement new ideas or become creative, or be able to actually just get started and go and just doing it. So again, like I advise the boot camp because it just gives you that advanced information, where surface information is good for basic knowledge, but you need more than basic knowledge to really start earning or being able to be active in the property industry. You need the full wealth knowledge, and that's what property boot camp gave us. And it gave us the confidence as well to know that, okay, we can do it as well. Like if you learn all that stuff in 2 years and look where your portfolio is, there is no reason now why we can't do the same thing. So that also was another confident boost as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, there is no rocket science. I always say there's no rocket science. So I literally went from, doing about 100 hours a week, driving Uber, making just under about £3,500 a month, to now obviously owning a business, bringing over £200,000 a year. and doing over, over 20 something K per month. So again, it comes from a lot of hard work, a lot of knowledge, a lot of grinding, and so on. So again, I'm not just a coach or a mentor who just teaches. I currently take on deals myself. So I'm still currently building my portfolio. So some mentors and some trainers, some stop doing it, the actual strategies, and they just obviously focus on the training part. So not just that, I've also now been able to, kind of diversify into the brass strategy. And again, you guys, and you've seen what we're able to do from converting a 3-bedroom house into a 6-bedroom house, the cash flowing over just about 2.5 grand a month profit. Guys, like for me, I don't know about any other business that can give you that sweet type of money and really doing this, less work. Because one of the things when people think about HMO, they think about, oh, it's a house full of too many people. There's so much work. If you're not prepared to work, if you don't want to work, then don't start a business. If you're prepared to go and trade your time for money and get paid 2 grand, 3 grand a month, which is around the UK average salary, then that's fine. But it's all about putting the hard work. So how has rent to rent, Chris? How has rent to rent changed your mind? How has it changed your mindset about the whole perspective of our property? Straight to the bank. Absolutely, man. Straight to the bank. Yeah. So how has rent to rent expanded your knowledge in terms of property in general?
Oh, massively. It's obviously, it taught me about all the different types of income, like, capital appreciation, cash flow. How cash flow is king. That's what I've learned. Money ain't king. Cash flow is king. Like, you want to have a lot of cash flow. And what I liked about the rent to rent strategy is the fact of, obviously the aim is obviously to be able to purchase buy to lets. That's the obvious aim. But it's now knowing that I can still make the same income as having a buy to let, but without buying a buy to let, as my pathway to getting a buy to let. Is like, that to me is crazy. Like, you're telling me save my income to do a buy to let by basically controlling a buy to let. Like, that's unheard of. And it's just, there's so many different strategies. Like now, like when we go into a property, the problem we have now is because we've got a decent amount of knowledge, we go into a property and we're thinking, hold on, there's like 3-4 things we could do with this property right now. Like, it's just, the mind goes crazy now, because like you get so creative and start thinking, we could do this or we could do that. Or like I mentioned to you earlier, we've recently viewed a property which was a 6-bed, but then you was giving us a tip about, you could turn it into an 8-bed. You don't actually need a reception room, and instead you can, put TVs in each of the room, and actually that'll raise the profits of the individual rooms. So you could turn it from a 6 to 8-bed and make more profit on top of the house. And it's like, on my days, like, you know what I'm saying? Now it's just like another thing to think about. Like, there's just so many ways around it.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and it's something you just said there. I remember we had a conversation, was it yesterday? We're talking about, Daniel, I think at the moment we're seeing a lot of deals in London, but they're not giving us what numbers we want. But we seem to be seeing a lot of property in this area, that area, and it seems to be more juicy. It seems to be, I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, I have properties that was 3 beds. No HMO license needed. The living room being converted. The living room being a bed just being put in there, and that property cash flowing 600 plus a month. And actually, your business partner came to visit me in one of those properties a couple of months ago, and you're like, yeah. And now you're actually looking at a property, for example, that you're close to taking on. And we've just been kind of creative just now with the last conversation we had, how you can actually still take on the property, but using specific techniques again to kind of think outside of the box. Even though at that point I was like, because you guys, probably is your first one, and I wouldn't recommend because of the certain issues around it. But the truth is, it's all about being creative, and it's all about seeing. So I usually say, see with a 4-eye rather than see with a 2-eye. If that makes sense. 2 in the front and 2 in the back. That's how business is. If you're being creative enough, the truth is there is deals everywhere. There are landlords everywhere. All right. And there are properties everywhere. Again, brick and mortar. You can't not lie. Brick and mortar doesn't lie. And just imagine, guys, just imagine this for a minute. At the exception of the lockdown, I had about over 10 rooms that was empty because I just finished a development, which was 6 bedrooms. And at the same time, I had some tenants moved out, some of my property. And I was like, oh shit, how am I going to do this? Mind my language anyway. Under 17s don't follow me. Under 18s don't follow me. So don't worry. So I'm sorry for that anyway. So basically I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? But at the end of the day, through the last 10 days, I rented out 4 rooms, like 4 tenants checking in. You know, so this is telling you, like, people are currently looking. People will rent room. People will downsize. All right. This is such a great time to get into property. But all you need to do is to just, again, follow through people who are already doing it. All right. People you can learn from. And one of the biggest one will be plug into a mentorship, you know, plug into a network. So I currently have the rent-to-rent property network where there's a lot of information. And you plugged into that network before you actually came on the training, Chris, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. Like the people you meet, there's so many like-minded people, all for the same goal, and all from different areas as well. So it, honestly, it's been amazing. That's really accelerated our journey as well. So again, I want to thank you for introducing us to the network.
Absolutely, because the thing is, it's about like-minded. If you're in the right setting, so there's an adage I say, there's an adage. It says, number one, little drops of water makes an ocean. All right. If you want to become a multi-millionaire, go and have 4 friends, and you become the 5th. So it's all about how you're planning. Step by step or break by break. That's number 1. Or number 2 is your circle. Number 3 is, again, continually seeking knowledge and consistently taking action. Never taking no for an answer. Obviously, you guys have really, I've seen you and your business partner work really, really hard. Like literally, you guys are on my phone every single day, you know, chasing me up, talking to me and telling me what you're up to. A lot of people plug into training, but the thing is, they expect the coach, the mentor to call them all the time. But that's not the case with you. You guys are on the phone with me. We're talking, like literally, we've built relationship now outside of training, right? Outside of training, yeah. We've built stronger relationship. And when the lockdown is over, you guys are coming to shadow me for like a day or 2, you and your business partner, to just see what what it actually is to run this business. It's again breaking it down step by step, the actual front end and the back end, because the truth is rent to rent is such a great strategy. Imagine not needing 20, 30, 50,000 pounds to get started in property. 2006, when I talked about property, the first thing I talked about was the deposit. Even 4 years ago, when I talked about property, what I first thought about was the deposit. So now, being able to get started in a strategy like rent to rent, where you can literally rent and control that property and generate cash flow, it's absolutely amazing. You know, so what would you want to say to anyone, Chris, right now? Anyone currently, let me use the word, any newbie looking to get started in the rent to rent strategy? What have you got to say?
The first advice I'd give you is utilize all the free information there is out there about the rent-to-rent strategy, such as, for example, you got your free events, which is every last Monday of the month. You've got so many people on YouTube that have constant videos about it. There's blog pages about it. Like, get as much basic free information as possible. Go on Eventbrite, type in rent-to-rent event. Just go to as many free events as possible and build your knowledge. Once you build your knowledge, then I personally would recommend going to Daniel Moses' advanced boot camp, because my personal opinion is if you go to the boot camp with literally no knowledge, a lot of the information might not make sense because you didn't have any knowledge at all. But if you build a basic knowledge of rent to rent or even just of properties alone, then the boot camp will make so much more sense to you, because we start diving into the actual strategies to use and implement when you're actually going out there to do your first rent to rent. So that would be my advice. So do get as much free information, then plug into a mentorship program and get advanced training. And then the third advice is forget all your fear and just dive in and just start. Just dive in and start. Like, I remember, I'll be real, like, I'm human. I was scared to maybe do my first phone call. Now phone calls is just like, we'll pick up the phone and call. But now the next barrier might be, okay, oh, I'm actually going to take it on. Then you'll take it on. Then you have a next barrier. Like every time you got that fear, just do it. Just forget it and just do it. And that's what holds a lot of people back. The first step, okay, they have the fear come over them. They don't want to do nothing. Just do it. And the more you do it, the learning starts to kick in, because then you've got something to relate it back to. And that's when you can really learn. So once you're in the field, you can look back and say, oh yeah, I remember that training now. Ah, I get it. It makes sense now, because now you're doing it. You're being practical with it. So that would be my advice.
So how have you been able to find any JV partners so far? Have you been able, what have you been, so on the back of the bootcamp, so you came to the bootcamp at the beginning of April, all right? So
Yeah.
how many sort of deals have you been able to put on the pipeline, and how many viewings have you, whether it's virtually or whether it's physical viewings, what have you been able to do so far on the back of coming to the bootcamp?
But on the back of the bootcamp, that's when we registered everything for the company. It took a few weeks. I got everything prepared. Like I converted my room into a home office space, so we have 2 office space to work from. Got all the stationaries. We even recently got these as well, our viewing tools, which is like our laser. I'll show you here, our laser measure. Got our laser measurer that we use on viewings as well to measure the room sizes. And we even got our damp detector as well to detect moisture and damping properties. So we do that on a viewing. We've got everything compliant. We've been networking estate agents. And then we have 3 potential deals on the pipeline at the moment. We have 2 JV partnerships. And we struck a very massive partnership with a government-backed scheme, a government-backed house scheme. They host NHS workers, ex-militant staff, and local authority personnel. And we struck a partnership with them, and they're looking to take on any properties that we get within the certain boroughs that they operate in. So that was also a big deal for us as well. And also we've got quite a few network we didn't realize actually work in letting estate agents. So we're constantly building our pipeline with them as well. In terms of viewing, I think now we've probably done 4 to 5 viewings now. With a few, like I said, with a few more next week. So it's just all slowly building up, should I say.
Yeah, great answer, Chris. Thank you so much, Chris, for shining a deep light in your experience, your property journey, and especially, obviously, sharing a light on, what makes sense after the Rent to Rent bootcamp. Now, what have you faced any sort of challenges ever since you got started?
Yeah, we have challenges every day, but again, because of my business experience, like I know there's going to be challenges, so it doesn't really faze me. But the challenges we've had is obviously, number one, most agents being closed. So we have a lot of, this is a good advice for everyone, we have a lot of email notifications. So when you do a search and you can save a search criteria, so when properties of that criteria comes up, you'll get notification. We'll get notifications up by an agent. So we go to call it, as soon as the notification comes on, agents closed, not doing viewings. So it's like, okay, well, why put it up and we can't view it, or we can't get in contact with anyone? It's a bit annoying. So that was obviously 1. 2, obviously with landlords, they're obviously going to come across landlords that don't understand rent to rent. So they're closed-minded. So expect some, bad phone calls. But it's just part of any field. Like, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get some bad phone calls. So of course we've had that. Sometimes we meet someone who they semi-understand it, but when you explain it, you realize they don't really understand what you're trying to do. Again, but those are the sort of things you're gonna have to just go through. So we just think if we just go through the numbers, there's just a higher chance of coming across those that do understand what we're trying to do, and that's what we've managed to do. And I'll be real. I mean, I remember there was one day this week. We spent 8 hours on the phone calling. And towards the end of the day, we got 2 landlords like, yep, come for a view and I understand what you do. Do you know how good those 2 yeses felt after having 8 hours of hearing no's? But again, it's just part of the game, because those two that said yes could turn into 2 deals that could revenue if we sell the deal 6 to 8 grand. what was that 8 hour day worth it of getting those to make 6 to 8 grand? Of course it was. So
Absolutely.
it's just about going through the numbers and understanding it. Understand you're going to get more no's than yeses.
Great, Chris. Chris, you've been so amazing, man. Obviously just pouring out the question, the answers. So what would you say in terms of the lockdown? So has the lockdown, because one of the things is a lot of people are not even networking right now. They're like, oh, we'll wait to network later. We'll wait to put the knowledge in later. We'll wait to do this or that later. But you've been very active in terms of during this lockdown. During this lockdown, you came to my training in April. During this lockdown, you speak to me about property literally once or twice a week. Sometimes this week alone, we've spoken about 4 times already. Like today's Wednesday, we've spoken about 4 times, an average of about 5 to 1 hour on the call. So, I mean, what would you say to anyone right now thinking, oh, the lockdown is not helping, the lockdown is not this? Like I said again, I've rented out 4 rooms plus in this lockdown, like literally the last 10 days. Because what happened was I did shut my operations for some time, but once I got my virtual viewings, my video viewings and all that in place, so I kind of resumed my operations somehow. So what would you say to anyone, still thinking it's not possible, this COVID-19, I don't have the right finances and stuff? What would you say?
Even if you don't have the right finances to physically start, you can always learn. Learning is free. Networking is free. So if you don't have the finances to put money into something, then at least do the free stuff. So it's free to change your bio and let people know that you're now in properties. It's free to go on LinkedIn and search for people in the property industry and just introduce yourself and tell them what you do and see if they'll be happy to work with you. It's free to start creating your landlord list, start creating your investors list. It's free to start technically it's free to start a company. You can start it for free and then deal with the financial things later. But you can start a company and start building your audience. So you can use this time to build your audience, build your network. So then when things are, back where you can have finances, you're not struggling. Like you have landlords that can give you properties, you have investors that can buy off you. And then you can use that to then build the money to then pay for the stuff that you couldn't initially finance in the first place. So it's just using your time wisely. There's no point wasting it. I mean, I always say this, there's never going to be another chance, another opportunity where you can work on something you're passionate about 100% while still having some sort of security financially in terms of still having a job or having something there. So just utilize the time you have, because the next time, it was either you've got to do your job and you have less time to build your passion, or you're going to be build your passion with no financial security. So why not use this time wisely once in a while? So just focus on learning, have a learning plan, put a learning plan in place, say Monday to Friday, if anything, or treat your days off like you're still at work. So Monday to Friday, 9 till 6, what's your learning plan? Are you gonna do 2 hours of learning and have a break, then do an hour session on a training course? Like, create a learning plan and network and learn. That's what I'd say you can do if you have no finances. Or
Great.
I believe everyone has finances anyways. Like if you've got a training to go to, use a credit card. If you read the jumps, just if you want it bad enough, just do it. Like,
Just do it.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. I literally started my business on the highest Capital One Vanquish loans. This is where my journey started from. I started building my business on the back of having just like £450 credit limit that got built over the years. And before I knew, about 8 months, my Vanquish credit card limit has gone to about £4,500 in like literally over 6 months or so. And I got increased like every 3 months. Like I was like, what? Because I was using it to build my business and I was paying all of it back. And once you do that, you can actually start creating, money. The thing is, raising money is the easiest part of property investing. That's what I always say to anyone, raising money. I just finished a development. I didn't have the whole money to start it, but the development is completely finished now. Tenants moving in and tenants already living in. So the money is not the problem. Get yourself out there, put yourself out there, plug into training, plug into networking, and that's where the breakthrough really is. And change your mindset. Your mindset is your biggest problem. You have to change your mindset. You have to start seeing yes in a no. You have to start seeing rejection as acceptance. You have to start seeing failure as as success. So you've got to transform your entire emotions and just go for it. Okay. Just before we round up this, I'm going to take another question quickly from Vericious Fashion. She said, do you do cold calling to landlords, or do you get them through the estate agent? Chris.
So right now, just through the climate we're in, it's very hard to get in contact with estate agents because most of them are closed. They say they're working from home, but they don't really call you back. So we've personally been cold calling landlords because there's portals out there where landlords post their properties themselves, and they've actually provided their personal mobile number or their personal email. So then we'll personally email them or call the landlords directly. But yeah, so that's what we do right now.
Great.
Obviously, in a normal sense, you can utilize both.
Great answer. For me, I've been getting a lot of repeat business anyway. I've been getting a lot of repeat business because to be honest, there is no letting agent across the whole of London that doesn't know about Southeast London properties and Daniel Moses. That's the why I say it, because it's the truth. And almost all the letting agent knows Southeast London properties, they know Daniel Moses. So what I've been getting lately is that they, instead of me calling them, they're actually emailing me. And I was sharing this during my I had a one-to-one session with some of my mentees the other day, and I was sharing a pool of emails that's come through. I said, everyone is literally asking me, especially those 4 beds and 5 beds that was being used as service accommodation, that the actual service accommodation people gave back. And I've been, told to come and have a look at it. Again, I've been making quite a lot of communication. Hence why I said I got 4 deals I'm currently working on. And I'll be sharing you templates and information on how I'm currently working. One of them, the landlord actually accepted a 3-month deferred rent. And we're just waiting now for the contracts to be drawn up and so on. So guys, it's been a fantastic conversation with Chris on the business conversation with Daniel Moses. Chris, I want to really thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy, and ever since you came to my training, I got to really know you personally. And I can see that you've got the right attitude, you've got the work ethic, and you're going to go high, man. I can't really wait to share your success story. So, Chris, what have you got to say for anyone that probably might be thinking, this Daniel Moses guy, is he delivering on his promises and his training? What have you got to say about my training?
100%. From the free rent-to-rent networking events every last Monday, the information you get on there and the special guests you bring as well every single week is genuinely phenomenal. Like, you learn so much about it. Is quite advanced actually, the things you learn. And then the boot camp itself, I think anyone trying to get into rent-to-rent, you need a mentor. And if they know about you, they have to do the boot camp, because the boot camp honestly is what changed it all for us. And we knew it would anyways. We kept saying it's all going to start after the boot camp, but it was actually true. It generally all started after the boot camp, and those 2 days were so fun as well. Like, even though it was all online, it was actually fun information as well. Like, you made it really engaging, you made it really fun, you made it very streamlined, very easy to grasp the concept of it. It was really good. So I would highly recommend, if they know you, definitely utilize the free events first, and then definitely then go on to the boot camp, because it's literally worth the investment. Really is.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much. So guys, tomorrow I'm just going to talk you through tomorrow's speaker, because I think we literally have less than 5 minutes to wrap up this live chat. So tomorrow I'm going to be bringing Sam Fongo, a property investor, an entrepreneur, a property auctioneer. This guy's done over £200 million in property sales in auction. He's one of the co-organizer of the auction house property. Tomorrow he's going to be sharing a lot of wealth of knowledge, deep dive information on how to invest in property, creative type of strategies, and again, how can anyone still continue to invest? Guys, any one of you right now thinking about property, this time we're currently in is the time where only the educated property investors will scale through and become the flying stars of tomorrow. So this is the right time to plug into networking, plug into the right education, plug into the right information, and you know, build your network, build relationship, and continue to stack up deals. Because I completely believe, obviously, we know that there will be a recession, but again, recession is time for property investors who are smart to invest in property. So, guys, just plug into the network. Tomorrow we'll be back again at 6 o'clock, where I'll be having a deep dive conversation. Actually, we're going to be sharing. We're going to be moving now from Instagram and going into Facebook. Okay, so we're going to be bringing both together tomorrow. So fingers crossed, we're able to share both screens together. If not, we will be on Facebook, where we'll take the Instagram live. So guys, it has been such an amazing time for those of you who's been consistent. I'm watching the screens every day. I can see people who are currently been watching on a daily basis. For those of you watching daily, tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend, and we will give you we'll be giving you a recommendation code, and that recommendation code we will actually lead you to come into one of my trainings at some point worth thousands of pounds for free. So I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna keep saying by Friday I'm gonna be announcing the offer, because my team are currently putting a package together. You get to come to my 2-day bootcamp training completely for free. Okay, so we're putting that package up together. It's only open for just about 1 or 2 people. So we're gonna keep watching for those of you who are currently here. And also yesterday I said anyone that's been watching me consistently, I'm currently giving away a free 1-hour coaching session. So just reach out to me with your telephone number and just comment on a daily basis as you're watching, and I'm happy to share my wealth of knowledge with you within an hour. So Chris, thank you again for coming to this show today, and I really, really appreciate your time. In your final words, what are you currently looking for right now? You're looking for investors. What are you looking for? Share with the audience, just in case someone is watching.
So right now, my company, Smart Choice Invest, is the link is obviously in the Instagram TV. We're currently looking for investors that are looking for rent HMO deals within the current locations: Southeast London, Kent, and Croydon. And also looking for anyone that's currently working in a lettings any letting estate agency around those areas as well. Let's connect and see if we can work together as well.